And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, and swearing. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, I am Nick Cameron. I am speaking up, so you don't have to turn your radios up to 30 in the car. Of course, I am joined by my good friend, the man who's always smiling, who's always pretty, and always alluring, Keefy Cheesecake. How we doing today, buddy?
That's amazing. I love cheesecake. So,
Wrong
thank-
kind.
oops. I want to hey, wow, 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 wow. I left my tassels home. Oh wait, I am home.
Oh, wait a
Anyway,
minute. Is this the are we doing a parliamentary dissertation like in the Monty Python strip club? For anybody who did not listen to the Monty Python series, you might want to go back and check that out. We did a run of all the Monty Python records, and it was awesome. Not on YouTube, however. Before it was pre-tube. Just the anyway. So thank you for joining us. This is week four of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Shubalub. Thank you, Curtis Dunlap. Of the I don't know, I got nothing going there, but if you are new, if you're joining us because you want to hear us talk about Under the Bridge and the Red Hot Chili Peppers number one 4-chord song, thank you for joining us. Here's how this goes. We do a greeting, we do a couple of checks, we beer check, we shirt check, we vinyl check, we drop some news, then we get into the meat of the episode. My beer check this week: Second Shift Brewing, Little Big Hop. It's a hazy ish, well, unfiltered. It is an unfiltered session IPA, New England style. Figure fudge pour.
good save.
Oh,
That can is very distinctive.
oh yeah, it's got a little hop inside a big hop.
It kind of looks like the if the Jolly Green Giant was a hop, but it's the little baby
This
giant.
was this was my virtual cheers on Twitter with Flatulent Fuzz and Germ Dubs and all those guys that we do every day, basically forever.
Oh no way!
And Jamie's first response was, "That looks like a little dick between the G and the H."
Fantastic.
So then I pulled down the thing so we could see all of it. Goes, "Oh, Jolly Green Giant! Ho ho ho! Shut up,
Okay,
Jamie."
so at least I'm not alone in that. My beer check is a beer I'm continuing to have, the Josephbrau Hefeweizen. So we already know the deal. Pop. God damn. I was like a strenuous.
Did that pop?
It did bump. It popped a lot.
Oh, I'll take your word.
And the finger fudge, all foam, no dome. One, two, three.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. The hoppiest hour on YouTube.
That is delicious. It's the YouTube Hoppy Hour. There we go.
Indeed.
So, my vinyl check this week is from a man who I find to be penny wise but pound foolish. A man who's created amazing works of art and just punched himself in the nuts every opportunity he gets, who does not realize he is a bass player in a prog rock band and maybe should not be addressing the United Nations. That, of course, is Roger Waters. Oft talked about Roger Waters. I picked up the Lockdown Sessions, and it is. I haven't gotten it into the mylar yet, but it comes in a lyric sleeve because you know what? If there's anything I need, it's the lyrics to Mother and Comfortably Numb. I sure don't know them. Gatefold. The kid and I were talking about gatefolds this weekend and how silly they are if it's just one record. Completely agree. But the thing about this one is it's a stripped down version of 4 Pink Floyd classics, one of Roger's favorite tracks from the final cut, which no one considers to be classic besides Roger, and then one track from, oh wow, which one was it? Not Chaos, Amused to Death. One track, The Bravery of Being Out of Range from Amused to Death, one of the great tracks from that record.
Your
And
favorite.
yes, I
You
love that
quote it
record.
often.
It's a
What's the
good quote.
what's the other track that you skipped over that he also
Oh,
the final cut song? Now I want
The
to know.
Gunner's Dream.
Oh, that's a good song though.
It's actually it's got 2 songs off that. I apologize. It's 3 Pink Floyd classics, 2 off of Final Cut,
Ugh.
and
What's the other one?
uh, Two Suns in the
Oh,
Sunset.
that's a great one though.
So it's Mother, Vera, Two Sons in the Sunset, Vera, side A, The Gunner's Dream, The Bravery of Being Out of Range, Comfortably Numb 2022. Comfortably Numb is the only track on this record that was not recorded during the lockdown sessions. They actually recorded it while they were doing the current, or not the current tour, but the This Is Not a Drill tour, which had been oft, oft, off delayed. But it's a great pressing. It's a great rendition of the songs. And I had said many times that when we talked about it, the Roger Waters Dark Side of the Moon, I was totally out. After hearing this, I'm in, I think, because this strip down is beautiful. Said it.
I take it. All right. Well, should not be a surprise. An album you have checked on the podcast before that I now have on vinyl. Bought especially for this episode of this podcast. Guess what it is? It is Blood Sugar Baby.
Which pressing you got there, buddy?
That's new.
Well, mine's new as well.
Picked
Mine's
up
a
a newish
2022 pressing. Yeah, mine's a 2022
I
pressing.
can't. Everything's blurry. I can't read. I'm not
I'll pull up
quoting.
Is it red?
Mu-
Are the record's red?
I think it's 180 black.
180 black. Yeah, I've got the 180 Walmart red pressing.
Yeah, I got this at Amoeba Records for $25.
Oh, mine
You
doesn't
can't
have
tell,
that.
but these are the lyrics in this beautiful all red fold out with additional outtakes from the photo sessions.
Give me a quick pause. Give me a quick pause. I don't want to put my junk in the camera.
Please don't.
No. Actually, I apologize. I just grabbed mine off the shelf. Mine's actually on the turntable. I've been spinning this for the past week. No, I have the exact same insert. Does your pressing have mylar inners?
Does white
Nice.
with the mylar.
Yeah.
And then here's the again, you have the impressive red. I wanted that one. This is the 180 gram black on both. So I'll just show the one. It's not remarkable, but it's cool. I'm glad I have it now.
I got mine on
four
I got mine on
sides.
Discogs. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I would like
3-minute record.
I would have liked to have had the fire engine red or whatever it is, but love this record. We're going to talk all about it. Nothing more to add.
Let's see. My shirt check is I am wearing my very first NPR shirt. This is the first gift I ever got for being a member of the local NPR station, KWMU 90.7 FM with IQ. Because if you're metal, you're well informed.
That's also true. I went to 3 metal shows in the last 5 days since I saw you last, and I am wearing a shirt from one of those. I saw Godflesh right around the corner from my house, and they rarely tour. The place was disappointingly empty at the start of the night, and then it filled up considerably before Godflesh. He went with some mostly unknowns as openers, which was interesting, but they were decent. King Yosef, you might have heard of. He's relatively new on the scene, industrial metal and screamy, just like a drummer and a keyboard player in himself. And then show was amazing. And then I've seen Godflesh now 5 times, and this is the first time they ever did an encore. Now, I had seen them a few times at festivals, and maybe that's why they hadn't done an encore, but they came out and played like a 15-minute encore, and it was pretty rad. And I got this shirt. So, and I also saw Yob, Pallbearer, Broom, and Gracian, which make you want to kill me on Saturday, and then on Sunday.
I realized. So when Keefy sent me this photo that he was at that show, my family and I were at a NASA talk. Like legitimately, there were engineers from NASA telling us about Perseverance and Discovery and the Mars rovers and chopper integrity. And I'm like, oh no, wait, that's a cello. Oh no! It took like 4 or 5 looks at that message to realize it was Gracian. And then I remembered, oh, Gracian lives in Oakland.
And Jackie is also in Broom now as well.
Yeah, I don't think they tour. So
no, soon perhaps they have a new album they just finished. So, and Gracian, I talked to Jackie, and I'm going to try to get her for an interview. Maybe we can get her on this podcast someday, and to talk about cello metals.
If she needs somebody slobbering all over her work,
well, let's slobber gently, with consent, not any other.
No, just not her, the work.
Right. And then Saturday, Sunday. So that was Saturday. And actually all week I thought the shows were backwards, and I thought that Yob was Sunday, but I had it wrong. But then anyway, Sunday I saw Violence play all of Eternal Nightmare with their relatively new lineup. And then the openers were Skeletal Remains, the death metal band from LA, who were amazing, Fueled by Fire, and Phantom Witch, who were both thrash metal bands. So it was a super fun weekend. I was really tired yesterday. And I got this Pallbearer hat at the Pallbearer for Pallbearer. Pallbearer played a brand new song. Their new record's finished, and they're going to put it out hopefully soon, maybe next year.
It's actually funny you mentioned Yob because their seminal record, Clearing the Path to Ascend, has been re-released this year.
I have it.
It's for a pretty reasonable price, and I'm probably going to pick one up.
You should. And then, of course, like Yob, while I sent you that message and you were like excited about Glacially, Yob, a lot of their stuff's about physics and, astrophysics and stuff, and astronomy. So anywho, that is the shirt check. What's next? News.
I got one piece of news.
Go for it.
And file this one under Nik Can't Help Himself. Vinnie Vincent has got his next party, the Halloween party, the Head Choppers Ball. On the Head Choppers Ball, there is a poster that his manager, Stephen Wilkie, has created, and the 17 fake profiles that Vinnie Vincent has created on his Facebook page. All love it. And they're all talking about how great it is and how this shows perfect 80s, the dichotomy of Vinnie Vincent being God and the devil simultaneously. It is one of the weirdest things. This one is named after the guitar, which he's now named the Head Chopper, which is a Chinese knockoff of a guitar that was made for him by a luthier that he never paid for because he's just that cool. But there was a video where he was giggling and held it up to a fan's head. So now it's the Head Chopper guitar, and they're naming this party after that. So the price is no longer $500 to attend. It is now $275. Perhaps the 6 total attendees of the last party, legitimately 6. Now it's $275. However, there are no refunds. So, but October 13th in Nashville, Tennessee, if you are...
How did that inexperienced caterer make out at that last one?
She is funny you meant bring her up. She is now kicked off the island by Vinnie Vincent and the fake profiles. I actually reached out to her YouTube channel is Heavy Metal Kitchen. I reached out to her.
We should have her on as a guest. Let's see what happens.
I'll work on that.
We do so much Vinnie Vincent stuff. I don't want to necessarily talk to him, but I would love to talk to her.
I reached out to her on YouTube today, and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry about all those fake profiles coming at you, because now the Vinnie Vincent fake profiles are now insulting her and dragging her down." And she's like, "Hey, I hope he gets the help he needs." That's just another person in the long line of Vinnie Vincent. Vinnie Vincent and Ace Frehley have an amazing talent to use people and throw them away.
A lot of people, but not surprising. Yeah. Couple of quick news items. As you know, I went to the movies yesterday, to my favorite independent movie theater here in San Francisco in the Mission District. I went to the Roxy Theater, the oldest theater in San Francisco, and I saw Squaring the Circle, the documentary film by Anton Corbijn about hypnosis, who, if you've listened to this podcast, we have gushed about hypnosis in the past. They've done a lot of Pink Floyd stuff, and then Storm Thorgerson had a falling out with Roger over the Animals cover, which we talked about, Nik talked about in our Animals series. And Roger tried to take credit for it and still takes credit for it. And Storm was like, you're mad. It was my idea.
The best part about Roger is
Roger had the idea for the inflatable pig. He did not have anything else.
Roger is at his best when he is singing and not talking.
Yeah, well, he was people interviewed for this podcast, for this documentary, and Anton Corbijn, right, is an incredible, he was a fashion photographer and then a documentary filmmaker, video director, filmmaker, incredible, right? It's great visual eye. So Aubrey Poe Powell is still alive, and Storm has passed, but there's a lot of archival footage of Storm. To a person, they all called him difficult to work with and
Storm?
Not nice. Yeah, not rude and not nice.
I will say this, and I will stop on this because we'll go too long. My favorite thing was in the Wish You Were Here documentary from 2006, David Gilmour is talking about how they would get these requests from Storm where, I have got to go to Tasmania to shoot this photo. And Rogers and Dave was like, Tasmania, the Saharan, you got to go to the Saharan Desert as well for the same cover of Wish You Were Here. I don't know if he really needed to go there or if he just wanted a vacation on our dime.
All those things are true. And so I would just say the remaining living members of Led Zeppelin, the remaining living members of Pink Floyd are all interviewed. Roger was actually really eloquent in speaking about Storm's talent. They went to school together. They were in the same rugby club. They had grown up together. Paul McCartney, Peter Gabriel, Noel Gallagher of Oasis. It was very funny. There's one funny short anecdote. They're telling this story about this album cover they did for Paul McCartney. And it's like, here's the quote. I'm not going to set up the rest of the story, but it's like, so we're on the beach in Hawaii. And because we couldn't get a fainting chair, we had to have them make a Victorian chaise. And I'm here with the only sheep on the Hawaiian Islands, the one sheep. And he wouldn't sit still for the photo with the waves crashing around him. So we gave him a Valium to get the shot. Thinking back on it now, we could have did this in a studio. There are plenty of sheep in England. I leave you with that. So moving on. Great film. If you love the artwork of the 70s, House of the Holy, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, everything else except The Wall.
Actually, listen to Houses of the Holy this past weekend.
Love it.
Great record.
And because it's partially Hypnosis has a song fund. We're not going to go deep into that, but we've talked about the song buying rights now. So the film is co-produced by Mercadius, who's in the film. And so all the music of these bands is played for every record. Like they're playing all the Floyd, all the Zeppelin, all the Paul McCartney, which is fine. All the Peter Gabriel solo stuff. It's wonderful. Fantastic film. Please go see it. Squaring the Circle by Anton Corbijn. Moving on to the next two items. Not necessarily a legendary person, but a foundational person. Lee Rauch, who was the original drummer of Megadeth, died this week. Apparently after an illness. This was posted on Facebook by his family. Dave Mustaine just commented. Now, I know that they were opening for the Misfits this weekend in Florida, so they're busy doing Megadeth things. Felt it was a little unusual that he hadn't commented. I know he's tried to whitewash Ellefson completely out of the history of the band. Oh, I formed it with some other guy, and then David came along, which is not true. He might have formed Megadeth by himself, and that was a thing, but David was definitely the first hire, and then Lee was the second. And so they made the first Megadeth demo that has all the early Megadeth stuff on it in their first forms. So just so you know, sad, rest in peace, Lee. And then because you can't...
I'm going to jump in briefly, if you don't mind. We are hitting of a certain age, and the transitional bands that we grew up with, sorry to tell you, but they are now long in the tooth. When the Rolling Stones were popular, when Megadeth started, they weren't as old, and they had not been around as long as Megadeth has now. We're all going to die. Go ahead.
Fair enough. It's coming. And then because you can't have Megadeth without Metallica, let's share some brief Metallica news. We are, 5 weeks out or less from 5 weeks from this week for Metallica hitting the M72 US first leg of their tour. I will very likely be at night one in East Rutherford with friends.
Don't tell me about it. Actually, no, tell me about it. We'll do a podcast.
All right.
You know we will.
All right. It can be a news item of a podcast. It doesn't have to be a deep. We'll do the deep one together.
We can do two.
But so Metallica announced, as they have done everywhere in the world, they have announced, and they probably will announce more stuff, but they have announced their takeover. This is a terminology they've been using since the 40th anniversary. When they come to a town, they take it over. So Ross Halfin is doing a book signing and a Q&A about his book about them and the Black Album artwork. Otto and Bastardane, bands that contain the children of Metallica members, will both play gigs. New Jersey has a special parking lot gig where Prong and Overkill are going to play on a pop-up flatbed truck stage.
I read what was going down in St. Louis, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go to the High Point and watch Metallica movies. Or we can go to Del Mar Hall and see Otto and Bastardization.
We could do one of those or both. I don't know. I don't know if you want to do 3 days in a row out and about, but maybe. I forget there's other things we want to do, St. Louis things, or just chill and do podcasts. I don't know.
Probably not going to do all 3 days.
I'm flying in. I think our show is Friday.
Yep.
And Sunday.
Friday, Sunday.
I'm flying in Thursday and I'm flying out Tuesday. So that's the plan. So they announced all these things. It's very exciting. So it's coming. We're getting closer.
Well,
And if
and
you're a fan of Metallica and you like these things, stay tuned to their YouTube channel when you're done watching this video and go see all their live pro shot live videos they've been sharing, or go to ghostcultmag.com and see them where I post every one of them.
I will not.
You won't, you don't want to spoil it. You're really
No,
doing my other BFF Omar, whenever there's like a superhero movie, he will not watch a trailer unless he's at the movie theaters to see one, and he will not dive deep and read on everything and watch everything and until he's seen it.
I don't want to know what pyro they're doing. I don't want to know what videos they're doing because they do cool Metallica. As much as Kiss wants to tell you that they're the most theatrical band ever, they're not even close. They don't even reach a single Jimi Hendrix, to be perfectly frank. Metallica is about 15 levels of theatricry ahead of Kiss. And
Theatricality and deception. Powerful
no,
agents. That's my Bane impression. The Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan.
Sorry,
Batman.
didn't see it.
Oh God. Anyway,
Anyway, let's move on.
What the hell?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I was just gonna say. So you mentioned Jimmy. I just want to say Super 7 yesterday and today put out MF Doom and Jimi Hendrix Super 7 reaction figures. So just throwing that out there. I'm gonna be restraintful and not buy them. Restraintful.
I don't buy many figures. I got some pops up top, but that's about as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, I have about a million of these things. Go ahead, you start the Chili Peppers.
All righty. We are now getting into 1991. The record, I believe, drops in the deuce, or is it 91? Okay, it does drop in 91. So we're getting in the 1991 recording sessions as what I was going with. So after Mother's Milk, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are riding high. They had a legitimate hit. They had a legitimate hit single. They had significant tours. They are finally getting clean enough to say they're clean anyway. And they're still on EMI. They have not been dropped by a major label. They're now going in to record their 5th record. And what do you do with a band that starts, think about that Rush song, right? There's unrest in the forest. All of a sudden, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are no longer the maples. They're no longer the elms. They're the oaks. They're almost the oaks. They're peering out. They are Bilbo going up the tree over the spiders to see the lonely mountain. And when a record label sees that, what immediately flashes in their eyes? Dollar signs. So when you've got dollar signs in your eyes and you are the owner of a record label, what do? Do you just let them go, oh yeah, you guys just do that thing one more time? I'm sure this time it'll be different. Or do you call in a pinch hitter? Bring in Mark McGuire, bases loaded, you bring in Big Mac. He gonna mash. So that's what they do. They no longer have Michael Beinhorn. They bring in a trusted producer.
Thank you, Michael Beinhorn, for liking our tweet, by the way, that I tagged him in.
Also, thank you, Phil from Motorhead, for retweeting some of my tweets.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently Duncan knows him. I know. I learned that today. So they bring in somebody who's had success in hip hop with Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, somebody who's had success with speed metal and thrash metal with Slayer. So, of course, he can do the funk. But what he has done with these bands is he has gotten these niche bands out of their niches. No niches, no ditches. Walk along the road. And what does he do? I'll pass it to you.
Oh, what well, do you got? He definitely gets
the best thing. Wanted to take a sip.
He gets the best thing out of them possible. The best music out of them. He basically harnesses the steps of progress they made on Mother's Milk and turns it up to 11, for lack of a better vernacular.
One of the things I think in this world, in terms of the music fans, that's really not understood is just how critical a producer is. A producer is, I don't know a great analogy for it, but It's that final coach. It's the coach that takes you from a AAA ball player into 40 home runs in the bigs. And that's the kind of producer Rick Rubin is. Think about this. Slayer had hits. Slayer. I mean, AC/DC has left Slayer so far in the dust of musicality and melody. And he worked with AC/DC as well, and Metallica, and Black Sabbath. I mean, the guy is, and Johnny Cash. I mean, he has hits with Johnny Cash in 2 or 3 years after this. It's the man is a Svengali.
There's a lot of debate about how true that is, though, because I would say I think earlier in his career, he was probably a more cutting edge, interesting guy. And I think he also bought into the cult of Rick Rubin. And there's definitely people like System of a Down who are like,
I totally get that. I
love
bought into the
working
cult
with
of
Rick,
me.
but like Ozzy and Iommi were like, I don't know what that guy got $1 million to do because he didn't do anything with our record. Do you think Saint Anger is a good record? He produced that also.
No, he did not. Bob Rock did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did he produce the one after it? I don't remember.
Death Magnetic. Ask me about Death Magnetic.
Oh, that one's good actually.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's mastered terribly though. That was a mistake, but I'll forgive it. I don't have the
We've
vinyl
discussed
version.
this in the past. It sounds better on vinyl.
But in 2008,
Yes,
there was no vinyl and it was gross.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you that. Hang
Rick,
on.
I would say this. Rick,
let me circle back to 13. That album is terrible.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It's a decent album.
No, it's terrible.
It's 70-year-old guys or 60-something-year-old guys making a metal record. It sounds what it sounds like.
It's 60-year-old guys trying to be their 25-year-old selves.
Yeah,
and you should never do that.
We'll fight about it another time.
Okay, fair.
Rick did work his magic with and on them, and I think they bought in, and he sold it, and that's what the number one thing is.
Well,
also,
the big thing he did that they bought into was he sees the lyrics to Under the Bridge as a poem. And he convinces Anthony, because they've had ballads ish. Knock Me Down is a bit, it's ballad. It could have been a ballad. So he gets him to sing Under the Bridge to the boys, thinking that, oh my God, they're going to hate this. It's, it's too sensitive. It's too, too blah, blah, blah. And they immediately run and grab their instruments. And when I first heard that story, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Then I found out it's just the same chord progression everyone's ever used. But hey,
yeah, yes and no. I think there's some interesting guitar stuff on there. I'm gonna say it's very similar.
I'm just talking about the main progression.
It's the
beginning part is amazing.
It's a very similar story. Well, the beginning is the end, also, by the way, that Under the Bridge Downtown chord changes are the ending and the beginning. But interestingly enough, it's very similar to Bohemian Rhapsody in that a guy who is not a classically trained musician, although Freddie's voice is unreal, off the scale, incredible, and Anthony's is not.
Nope.
And we're going to talk about this album and Anthony as a vocalist.
Well, this is his best record.
I agree. Well, far and away, still to this day. He did learn to sing here, and that's the thing. But we'll get deeper into that. But my eye is bothering me. I don't know why. But it's literally like, hey guys, this is an idea I have for a song. I'm gonna map it all out for you. Go make the rest of it. And that's kind of what happened with Under the Bridge. That's why it's unique. That's why there's weird chord changes. That's why it speeds up randomly. It's not a conventional song written by conventional musical geniuses like Frusciante and Flea. It's written by Anthony with those guys putting the sprinkles on top and the cherry and the whipped cream. That being said, it is a masterpiece. We can get into that when we get to the track by track. But another thing is, so Rick comes in. I just want to add that he gets the best out of them. But also, this is not only the best music they ever made, this is the best recording they ever made. These are the best individual performances possibly ever from them. And then also, like, I have to shout out Brendan O'Brien. Brendan O'Brien was a little-known producer and mix engineer from Atlanta. Chili's is one of his first big jobs. And after this, he goes on to do Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, like, the list goes on. Soundgarden. It's like a Mastodon. It's nuts.
All it takes is one hit. All it takes is
it's not even just one hit, though. It's the job he did.
No, I mean, I'm using the wrong words. Right. All it takes is one job.
Yeah.
Where you nail it.
Yeah. Have you seen, by the way, the Funky Monks DVD or videotape?
I have not.
Okay, so the video for "Suck My Kiss" comes from this. So they go to record in a big house. This is another thing they had in my Led. It was good enough for Led Zeppelin. It's good enough for the Rolling Stones. Good enough for Judas Priest. It's good enough for us.
Looked
So
like they were. It looked like they were recording either in the Alamo or the Mission District of San Francisco, but I know it
no,
was
it's the
neither.
Art Deco Harry Houdini house in
Ooh,
Beverly Hills. So they live
nice.
in the house for 30 something days. They don't leave 30 to 60 days. They set up a studio. They live in the house together. They rarely leave. The house is haunted, and Chad Smith supposedly didn't want to stay in it, but he also, like, he was recently married, so he wanted to be with his wife at night. So he rode his motorcycle to and from the house every day. But everybody kind of says the house is haunted. Um, I think, like most of the stories, Frusciante partied a little bit when he first got in the band. He's significantly younger than these guys, not got a lot of life experience compared to them. He lives in the house with them. We know what happens to him after, because we'll get there, but like we already know what happens to him. But like watching this video, and it's on YouTube if you want to see it, you start to see that he's kind of coming apart at the seams, even during the making of the album. Like he's funny and positive and hopeful, but he's also got like he's majorly disturbed a little bit here. He's like a Sid Barrett. The wheels are starting to come off this dude, even before the record is done. You can tell he's talking about unnatural, weird shit beyond just a hippy dippy guy. He's like not right. And I worried about him watching this. I was like, his mental health is deteriorating before our eyes, and no one's noticing but me, the viewer. Um, but that being said, it's pretty amazing all the chemicals that came together to make this bomb album, and really they ushered in. We were talking last week about alternative rock, and they were the first big hit band of alternative rock, if you want, beside REM.
I don't think REM really hit
Until
yet
later. But
until
they had
after
hit
this.
songs. I mean, they had hit number one songs before Losing My Religion and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So Chili's, though, are a band that are literally
Opening the
like the
door.
record label saw that they kicked the door in a little
Yeah,
bit, and they're going to come through the other side and be a bigger, different band, no
right.
matter what record they put out.
They're the first band to really show that you can be a hit without the standard intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, solo, outro. The Kiss theory. Keep it simple, stupid, and everything Kiss ever did.
Right. Well, what Rick did, which is really, you can see this he really did get them to simplify. So there's a scene in the Funky Monks movie where they're watching The Song Remains the Same. And it's Chad, Rick Rubin, and Flea on a couch, three across. And Chad is just like, bow, 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 air drum, da, da, dazed and confused. And Flea's like, okay, this is boring. I'm nodding my head, but I don't. His face is vacant. And Rick is just like, I love this. And he really did. We talked about Chad having that like weird juxtaposition of classic rock, hard rock, and funk. They lean very into the hard rock beats on this record, and there's like a hard rock drum sound. They literally recreated the Bonham sound a little bit. Drums are in a giant open hallway.
I
Chad used
wish
many.
Bonham had never made that sound. I'll say it.
Okay,
Because
that's crazy.
everybody's chased it since
That's
then.
not Bonham's fault. He's a genius, and Glenn Johns is a genius, and Pagey's a genius. So why is that his fault? That's everybody else's sucks for copying.
I agree, but if you, although let me say, the Eric Carr attempt at recreating the bottom
Yeah.
sound was an amazing, different sound
Yeah.
that people should
When
be
the Levee
chasing.
Breaks, maybe the best drum beat sound ever.
Completely.
But anyway, so I'm gonna stop because we could go forever and we don't want to. I'm gonna let you pick it up if you have any other further thoughts you want to share about the making of the record before we do the track by track.
No, I think we pretty much nailed it. Just to if anybody's eyes glassed over during our talking over each other and just really aching to get our bits out, basically what you have is you have a band on the rise. The label brings in somebody to give them a boost, somebody to push them on the swing, and that's Rick Rubin. And spoiler alert, he succeeds. And he gets the my belief has always been that every band gets one perfect song, one song that really shows who you are. Except for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they got this most of this record. And with that, let's go into the track by track. Let's start off with The Power of Equality. This is, you want to talk about a song that is nothing like anything they've ever done. John Frusciante is in front, on top, great chords. He's not playing Hillel Slovak like he did on Mother's Milk. Anthony Kiedis, socially conscious lyrics. Flea, just Flea. I mean, and then Chad holding the bottom down. Amazing song. My racist family even loved this song.
That's crazy. That should not be on a shirt. Oh my God, my racist family loved this song. Even
Look,
loved this song.
I am the black sheep of the family for
Clearly, shit.
one of the reasons.
Yeah, great song. Very few notes. Killer first track of the album. One of the best aggressive tracks the band ever did.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to take away, beside obviously Under the Bridge. Kiedis steps up as a vocalist and a lyricist on this album. Still some very cringy bad lyrics. A lot of stuff about sex. A lot of weird song stuff.
He keeps it to one song mostly.
No, it's more than it's like half the record is all about doing.
I'm not talking about the cringy sex stuff.
I think there was a lot of cringy stuff on here, but
well, you know, we'll
find better than it has been. On. And the Power of Equality lyrics. I mean, like, you don't talk about him as a rapper, but like he's really flowing. It's a great rap.
Well, he sounds like an adult.
Right. He's not just
he doesn't always the whole record.
Yeah, it's not Get Up and Jump. Right. It's a serious song. It's a pretty, like, it literally draws a line in the sand.
Which side do you want?
Death to the message of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, like in 1991 to have that mic drop on a record is a big kapow. I like it.
And you know, I live in Missouri,
right?
St. Louis specifically, which is not the rest of Missouri, but yeah, we got those assholes. So sure. Moving on, If You Have to Ask, which is a great continuation. For the longest time when I had this on a dubbed cassette, I didn't realize where one stopped and one began. They're doing the very cool. This is production right here, man. They are doing the Led Zeppelin 2, the Led Zeppelin 3 flow. That kind of flow is often imitated, rarely duplicated, but here we got one. And If You Have to Ask, if Power of Equality is an 8.5 song, this is a 7.9. Still great, not squiffy, but there's a bit of a pullback here in terms of quality.
I like If You Have to Ask is also a sexual song, but it's fun. Like Kiedis is having fun with the vocals in the song.
No, I like it, but
there's a coda. I wanted to ask your opinion about the rap at the end. So Flea is playing that repetitive bass line, and there's that little rap at the end. Boom, 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 and Kiedis is like, "Wanna be a dude." It's like,
oh my god, that is not
fun.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know where one song ended and the other began, because that coda is so different, and the beginning of this is so much like the end of Power of Equality. It's just a complete flow, and there should have been a break, but there wasn't. Good. No, I he tries to be a gangster, want to be a wise guy, stab him in the eye guy. That one, yeah, that's good. Next we go into probably the worst song on the record, in my opinion, Breaking the Girl.
Oh terrible. My god, we're gonna fight. How could you? At two Nik A? Come on. Go ahead.
Terrible.
This is the first 10 of 10 on the record. This song's incredible. You're insane. I understand if you don't like it and why. I'm sorry. The song is magical. I can give you all the reasons why. Tell me why you hate it. Go ahead.
Because it makes me make this face when I hear it.
I see the face you're making, but
yeah,
that's the baked bean fart face.
Bad song.
Why? So here's my take, and you can. I'm not trying to refute you. If you hate the song, you hate the song. I hate many songs that people love.
You don't like Lulu.
I hate Lulu. I hate all Journey songs. I was never a big fan of The Cure until later.
I accept Journey because I have to, because my wife.
No. So here's many multitude things about Breaking the Girl. Breaking the Girl is straight up Led Zeppelin 3, so hard that I feel like the chords are 4 sticks. Go back and listen to the beat and the chord changes.
You know, I'm
got that chiming 12-string guitar.
I'm playing it in my brain.
Yeah. It's about that girlfriend we talked about last week.
I'll tell you, they tried. They tried. They just didn't.
No, you're wrong.
Swing and a miss.
You're wrong about this one. This song's brilliant. Everything about it is brilliant. Million bits of percussion in the breakdown. No guitar solo. Kiedis' absolute best singing. Even Under the Bridge is not sung as well as this.
No.
Yes, man. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree, but I think this is an incredible
No,
bass
no,
line.
I think
It's
we're
a
talking about skill, and this is not a this. I think we're not talking about an opinion quantity, but we're talking about a quality quantity with technical quality quantity. Under the Bridge is better than this in terms of vocal quality.
well, no, man. He doesn't have one flat note. I would say this again: if you watch the behind the scenes movie, you hear all the stuff that he hit flat notes on that they
Yeah, but
kept and they treated.
I'm sorry. I heard the song. I've heard this song
I
so many
understand.
times,
I
and the
understand.
video terrorizes my dreams.
Well, that's a you problem.
I'm seeing them in my face now,
Yeah.
and no, let's can we move
It's a
on?
lot like Moment Shots. I'm not sure what's going on with this, if you remember that reference, but I love this song and I think it's a great song.
Agree to disagree. Moving
Oh.
on to Funky Monks. Now we're talking. This there is some kind of abstract coolness going on in Anthony Kiedis's mind. I don't know if anybody else in the world understands it, but he surely does, and he sings it with conviction. God damn it! Anyway, great kind of cool, funky but not traditionally funky guitar by Frusciante and Flea taking a bit of a backseat on this one, not thumping on top of John, but buttressing John, which is a bit of a rarity because why would you? He's Flea. He should be in front all the time. And then, of course, you got the cool, you know, Chad Smith doing his Will Ferrell all over the place, kind of. I mean, you know how we talked about how he's the the Will Ferrell lookalike. He also is a if Will Ferrell played the drums, I would imagine he would have been a parody of Chad Smith.
Well, he does actually play the drums and he is a parody of Chad Smith as
Well,
well.
there we go. Nailed it.
I think Funky Monks is solid. It's not great. It's a good song, kind of reminded me of their first few albums when they're trying to it's a better version of those first few
Yeah, yeah.
funk rock
Yes,
songs.
yes,
It's
yes,
not
yes.
fast, it's slow and a little more bluesy, which I like that they lean into the blues a little more on here. I think Rick gets them to be they're so over the top for so long as dudes and as artists that Rick almost gets them to pull back a little and restrain.
Mm-hmm.
So Funky Monks is like a nice bit of restraint, and it's a chill song. It's a good side one deep cut. It's not
Agreed. I'll
bad.
give you
It's
that.
not great. It's in the middle.
Uh,
Better than in the middle, but not by much.
moving on into Suck My Kiss. Classic. No notes.
I concur. Maybe their best heavy song beside Higher
No,
Ground and Give
there's
It
no.
Away.
No, there's. I don't think there's beside. I think you hit it right the first time. Moving on to I Could Have Lied. I don't know what you're trying. You're really. I'll say it. They're hit fishing.
Well, yeah, for sure. I think also because I don't know when Under the Bridge came in the writing process compared to this, and also Soul to Squeeze is from these sessions. We're not going to talk about it yet, but Soul to Squeeze is from this
Next
album.
week.
Soul to Squeeze is from this album writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they were definitely trying to get a hit, a ballad. And I'll say that I Could Have Lied is the most a ballad they could do, and I think it's actually the lyrics are really good. Another one about that
I'm gonna
girl.
say this: if you want to get a hit, don't drop the F-bomb in the chorus. But yeah, it's hit fish. I mean, do you have anything specific to say about this one? This
No, if it
germane to
came
this
out
song?
today, you could have got away with that F bomb, but not
Yeah,
30 years ago,
correct,
32 years ago.
correct. Moving on to Mellow Ship Slinky in B major. Good, not spectacular. You know, when you've got a 72-minute record, 72 minutes is a bad. It's a bad number, man.
They wrote like 35 songs and covers for this record, and they got down to what is it, 18?
Yeah,
It's still too many, and this is
17,
why
17. Yeah,
it's too many.
this could have been. You know what? If they had pared it down just right, this would have been the third or fourth ever great three-sided record. But they didn't. Moving on to The Righteous and the Wicked. You know what? Solid, not spectacular. It gets the job done. It's funky. You want to dance a little bit, but it's just it's power of equality, but lesser.
I have no additional thoughts. That's correct.
Okay, moving on to Give It Away. I mean, I don't imagine there's anybody listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video who's gone, Give It Away. I ain't never heard that song. I don't know
I
what to say.
apologize, all Southern Americans, for Nick disparaging you and dwindling you down to an accent, but I know what you mean. I think even if you didn't know "Give It Away," you certainly know Yabba Dabba Do" now
You
because
know what? And
of
you
the
know what?
Flintstones
Flea was
movie.
wrong. Flea was wrong. Bedrock Anthem is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. He didn't like it.
I know.
They
He
got the
didn't.
money for it though. Um, it's a great song. Again, going back to the Funky Monks movie, when they're writing the song and workshopping the song, Flea is like still too busy on the bass, and Rick is like, play less, just do the groove, don't overplay, just drop in, drop out, and that's literally the magic of the song is Flea and Chad. There's also some incredible Jimi Hendrix backwards guitar solo.
Mm.
Frusciante is flawless on this record with everything he writes and
You know,
does.
I have to say that Frusciante is probably one of the most underrated guitar players out there, because I would, I'll put my cards down now. I would call him the MVP on this record. He takes this record from what could have been a second rate Mother's Milk into a whole new thing.
Well, what I'm going to say about Anthony is this also. I agree with you, but I'm also going to say like the what made them break through is Anthony going from a marginal to poor vocalist to actually being a Rick got him to sing.
Yeah.
Whatever they did with him, whether and like he still actually gets better as he goes on, even the later records that I don't like that we're not going to cover, but like he gets better and better. But this is the turning point for him as a vocalist where he's
I also say it's a zenith, but I completely agree with everything you're saying.
possibly, I'm not an authority on the later Chili's records at all. I don't like most of them.
This vote, I have the last two way better here than on those two.
Well, that's
And
anyway. That's a given.
there's a
Records, I
lot
tried to
better.
listen to them both. They were awful.
They're not awful.
Um,
They're just not this.
they're way less than this. But
Oh
Give It
yeah,
Away is incredible, and they're second to Under the Bridge in their most popular songs. So
correct. Moving on to Blood Sugar Sex Magic title. It's sex stuff, but it's not cringy. It's fun, little rappy, little singy, a little bit of whatever the hell it is Frusciante's doing on this one. It's down down. I can't even do it. It's cool riffs, cool grooves. Everybody, I mean, good tune. It's
great chorus too. Like very for a song that's pretty perverse, it's got a phenomenal, powerful chorus, which I like.
all righty. Under the Bridge is up next. Let's try to keep that. We're going long. Let's try to
The jizzing to a minimum.
correct. Under the Bridge, absolute quality song. It's Anthony writes about something that he deeply cares about, which makes his his probably his desire within himself to really nail the vocals, to really push this performance somewhere special. And then you have the other three knowing what he's doing, where he is. Great performances full of conviction. The only way you can get more conviction is if you kill 10 people and you say you did it in court. This is a great song. It's not my favorite. It is the first Chili Pepper song I ever heard. And I remember thinking to myself, this is red hot. Because I was, 13.
I think it took a journey to get to
15.
this song for them as a band. And I think you also want to Kiedis just nails everything about it. His
Mhm.
emotions, the lyrics, everything, his sensitivity, his ability to finally be able to sing a line and not have it. I think he's got a tiny lisp in there also that kind of comes through on this song, but like it's endearing. This song, just like the rest of the album, another Frusciante, like the George Martin to the Beatles. This dude is hearing in 3D and we're all hearing in mono and not a good 60s mono mix. We're hearing this guy hears in Technicolor. So when he went to go orchestrate the ending, he brought in friends and his mom to sing backup vocals. He's actually the high female sounding operatic voice at the end of the song. That away, him and Flea and his mom, like layered on vocals. And it is unbelievable. He ended up hating the song later, by the way. He hates it. I don't think to this day he likes the song. But anyway, 10 of 10. It's a 10 of 10 song. It's my third 10 of 10 song on this album.
Moving on to Naked in the Rain. Naked in the Rain would have been one of the best songs on Mother's Milk and the best song on their first their first three records. But on this album, it's forgettable and not necessary.
Definitely
To
into
give you an
skip
idea of
territory.
how far they have come. Not, I wouldn't skip it, but that's just how far they've come. Is that this is a solid quality tune, which would have crushed on the previous albums. Now they've gone so far they don't need it. Which, moving on to Apache Rose Peacock. Oh my God, 10 of 10. Love this song. It is, the lyrics are perfect. Nailed it. 10 of 10.
It almost makes me forgive them for Fight Like a Brave. That's how good this song is.
Moving on to the greeting song. Why did this get on the record?
I blame you, Rick. There's a couple on here that should have not made the album.
Oh, speaking of which, My Lovely Man.
I like that song. I always kind of like that song. It's like a late in the album, soft underbelly. If there is one, it's these two songs. I don't hate that one. It's not great. It's not.
I don't hate it, but it
awful.
doesn't need to be here. It doesn't fit the vibe. Maybe they're hit fishing again. You know, maybe they're just like trying to bust. Well, I mean, it's 1991. The power ballad is still huge. You know, we're not far removed from No Rain by Blind Melon having exploded. So maybe they're shooting for that.
Like 93, 94. Yeah.
No. It's not that far along.
We'll fight about it another time.
No. I'm gonna
go look it up. The B Girl video is 93, and then they were at Woodstock 94. I saw them. I know they were terrible.
Oh, I'm sure they were terrible.
I actually told Danny Clinch they were terrible. He was on
1992.
Yeah, all right. I don't think the song was a hit till later though. No Rain. Go look it up. Click on No Rain.
You know what? It might have been 93 when it really blew up. Now that I think about it, but Weird Al did the B video on Alapalooza, which was 93. Anyway, not the point. We're minutiae that don't matter.
Picking it.
Now we get into porno.
Nicks.
Now we get into super porn. Sir Psycho Sexy.
They think this is the best song on the album. They are on a lot of drugs.
You know what's great about this song? Legitimate question. The song is great.
I'm gonna say nothing. I'm gonna say
no. I'm not gonna say nothing.
It's actually a pretty good song. It's
everything this on
should have been the album closer proper.
Everything on the song that is not Anthony Kiedis is amazing.
Sir Psycho, yeah. It's pretty great. It's fun. If you're at a party and
you know what, this is the song
in 1991 and this song comes on, you're not mad at it. You're good.
Well, not in 91, no. But this is the song where I thought to myself, wow, you actually went into a vocal booth with dudes watching you and you could sing this? Cheers, bro.
Right. I mean, he's in character, which is fun. It's not a good character, but he's in character. He thinks it's about him. They all think to a person this is the best song on the record. Like, they really do.
It could have been. It could have been.
Bring it on home.
Here's what it is. All right. Last track of the record. They're Red Hot. A cover by Robert Johnson. The only cover that makes the record. And you know what? You're the Red Hot Chili Peppers. How could you not cover They're Red Hot by Robert Johnson?
This is also among their best covers. It's fun. It's in the spirit of the original song was one of the most upbeat Robert Johnson. He had all these doleful blues songs, and then he has this one dance radio or fishing for a hit, a radio song. And they play it very seriously and fun. And
great, great cover, great
it's track. A great cover, great ending to the record. So I'm gonna pose a question to you now before we say anything else. Knowing what we know now, this is their best record.
Yes.
Far and away their best record.
Actually. Not my favorite, but it is their best.
It's their best record. And it is my favorite. I do love Mother's Milk on a level most people don't. But this is also, I played this record so much. They exploded, right? We'll get there in a second. But like, so do they don't have a record that's, this record for all its merits is not a 10 of 10. It'd be generous to give it a 9, but on the strength of its best tracks, you could give it a 9 for all the pluses.
I would say it's probably a 9 because
There's like
the
5 or 6 songs here that should
yeah,
not
the
have made
lows
the
are
record.
not so low though.
They're not. There's nothing that's so bad it's
It's
terrible.
I mean, apart from some cringical lyrics, although thankfully it's none of them are creepy. They're cringical. They're not, oh my
Cringical.
God,
The
did you
new
really
word,
say that?
cringical. The cringically
Cringical.
delicious.
Yes, there's a lot of cringically delicious on this one. And not like, what was it, Daddy? Where no,
Where's
where's Ma?
Daddy?
Where's Daddy?
Horrible. I mean,
Nothing
just
rises to that level.
right. Catholic schoolgirls rule.
Nothing rises to that level.
When I saw you coming out of school that day, Anthony
Oh God, you had to go
Kiedis's
Christine 16.
girlfriend.
Do not
I
drop
mean,
it.
that is the ultimate
Do
perv
not drop
song.
Domino.
No, I love Domino. I don't care. I think
It's a
Domino's
sticky situation.
yeah, it's good. It's a man-sized predicament,
It's a
and it's a
sticky
big one.
situation when she ain't old enough to vote. I mean, come on.
Gene is terrible. He's so
Yes, he
terrible.
is. Yes,
That
he is.
record's a 10 of 10. That record's
No,
a
it is
10 of 10.
not.
This
It
record's
is
not.
not. That record is a 30 30
Every
30.
time I look at Nick. Anyway, this
Yeah.
album is still
This
somehow
album
like
is a 9. This
an
album is a
8,
9
5, or
of
a
10.
9 on a 10 scale.
The quality songs are so high quality, and I'll handicap it because they went too long. The problem, the biggest issue here is lack of an edit button. However, Rick Rubin should have known that you didn't need all of this.
Oh,
And
Rick is a self-indulgent guy, so he's
I
gonna
know,
indulge the self-indulgence.
I know, but here we are. It's 1991. The CD is coming. The cassette tape exists. You know, one of the things I think we forget a lot about is double cassette tapes were not really a thing. There are very few double cassettes in this world
For like $5 each, I know.
because you could put 90 minutes on a cassette, so you didn't need two of them. The only double cassette I ever owned was Monty Python's The Final Ripoff, which was 180 minutes. So it's, you're not spending extra money to produce this. So in 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, and so on, records get longer to their detriment. We did in the Metallica series, we did Load and Reload, which I will go to my grave that Load and Reload, if properly edited, is one of the greatest 65-minute records of all time. However, it's two 80-minute records. So there's a lot of extra there that is not required. And there's some extra here that's not required. So you get a ding for that, but it's still a great record. I still, I mean, for years, I looked to be able to get a copy of this on vinyl. But because it's 1991 in the vinyl dark ages, you have to wait for the repressing. But because it's in the dark ages, the repressings get snatched up. And thankfully, there was a 2022 pressing that I was able to pick up. And that's what I got.
Right on.
So if it's something I look for years and I have, there's a little more I need to say.
Any other thoughts we want to share? We're gonna put a pin in it here and
We'll
then
put a
pick it up
pin in
next
this
week.
and we'll get to it next.
The aftermath of Blood Sugar Sex Magic next week.
Yep.
I'm not sure what day we're gonna record because of the holiday, but we'll figure it out. I think I took us home last week. Do you want to just take us home? You have a final summation?
I'll take us home. You know what? We are looking at a band that has they've clawed their way up from a joke band that just, Tony Flo and the Majestic moniker Mumblebutts into mainstream success without a significant cutting of ties of self. There's everything that they were, they still are. They're just more things as well. A little hit fishing, but you know what? With as many fuck words are on this record, they were not self-editing enough to. I mean, they were who they were, and that's really cool that you can put out a record where, yes, again, you're trying a little, but you have not put Baby in a corner. In fact, Baby has come out to the middle of the dance floor, wearing just a sock, saying anything he wants to say. Here we are. It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. We'll give it away. We'll get in the rain. We'll go dance in New Orleans. Whatever we need to do, whatever we feel, wherever we're going, we're going to get there. And as my daughter would put it, they're quirky and different, and they're not like other girls. That is this record. If you look at the hit records of 1991, comparatively, this record is abjectly insane. And that's great, which is what makes it fun, what makes it sassy, and not even a little bit classy. There's no class. This is a classless record, but which is also what makes it great. The fact that a classless record gets huge. So I'm repeating myself. I will say thank you, Keefy, for joining us. If you are new, thank you very much for making it this far. You are awesome. You are amazing. There are 1,001 podcasts that are recorded in your city. So if you have stumbled upon this video, stumbled upon this stream, stumbled upon this download, my God, it's humbling. And I thank you, because I am just a guy in St. Louis who is buttressed by amazing people like Keefy that have not figured out how terrible I can be. So we're going to pretend like he didn't hear that and keep moving forward. Thank you for listening. Give us a quick 5-star review, drop a like, drop a comment. That is the greatest thing you can do to help us out. And of course, you can get me on the socials. Twitter at Nik No C, NIK_NO_C. Keefy, Ghost Cult Mag at Ghost Cult Keefy. Same with the Instagrams, Facebook, Glacially Musical, blah, blah, blah. Search Glacially Musical, search Nick Cameron, search Keefy, search Ghost Cult. It's Googleable. Google. Thank you very much. And as we always say, this is the Glacially Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria, and I think Frusciante missed the boat.
Now
to Peoria.